Welcome back to Watching Film of Varnadore Films. I am Seth Varnadore. Spring football is in full swing at Florida, so I decided to take a closer look at the quarterback battle. We talked about Buster Faulkner's offense in our last video. You can check that out in the old Varnadore Film archive there uh, on YouTube. But we got to talk a little bit about Philo, the quarterback transfer from Georgia Tech, but we have not talked about Tramell Jones yet. He was obviously on campus last year, had some nice flashes and some pretty good games. So I wanted to take a closer look at his season last year and see if maybe he'll end up being the guy to win this quarterback competition. So let's go ahead and look at Tramell Jones last season here. We're going to start with the Kentucky game. It wasn't the best game for Tramell or for Florida, but we'll end on a high note, taking a look at the Long Island game. But he still did some stuff in this game that I thought was pretty good. Well, I think one common theme from his time last year is he was a little bit let down by his receivers and tight ends at times. And then Kentucky fools him a couple times, which I think on the other hand, you're getting the defensive coordinator from Kentucky, so that's helpful, right? You don't want to have a true freshman in there shredding him, and this is your defensive coordinator. So I guess that would be the positive side. But let's get started here. So we're going to start. Tramell comes in. It's interesting, kind of. You feel like he played a lot more than he did last year with how much I felt like he got talked about last year, but only saw action in 2 games, Kentucky and Long Island. So we're going to look at the Kentucky game. Both of them, he comes in the second half and plays the entire half. So he's got about a full game's work. This is one thing he did pretty well in both games, though. RPO, you can see him reading the backer. He feels and he throws a nice catchable ball. So we'll look at it from the backside as well. So you can look at his eyes. This is something he did really well, and it was something that was, I thought, they did a lot more with him than they did with Lagway, it felt like last year when he came in. I don't know if they felt like it was easier, but right there, you can see. We'll go back to the back view. You can see his eyes in the right spot. And that's one thing I think he does really well. It's hard to say for sure without being in the room and knowing exactly what they're supposed to be looking at. But I think he kind of has a pretty good idea. So you can see his eyes here. He sees this backer staying tight in the box. So he knows there's going to be a void behind him. Rips that thing. And that's a catchable ball. I mean, it's not perfect, especially with some you'd like for him to put it right on his body if possible, but that's definitely a catchable football right there. So then the very next play, they run this concept, which I'm not. So they're going to run a smash route up top and then have almost a crosser coming into it. And then they're just going to run a deep out here. So it seems like, I'm kind of have my eyes here. If this apex player doesn't fly out, I kind of have a one-on-one to the deep out, which he does. Throws it with pretty good time. You see the ball's out. The receiver hasn't quite turned his head. He's starting to throw it now as he sticks his foot in the ground at his break point. Receiver does a pretty good job rolling into it. The ball's thrown on time and on target. And then again, this is not a short throw. You're going from the opposite hash to outside the numbers. So I don't know if he has elite arm strength, but he's got enough to make that throw, which is a pretty tough throw, right? So all good stuff there. And you can kind of see he's got pretty good feet in the pocket, I think. So there's a lot of things to work with here for Tramell. Good ball, good timing and anticipation, right? If you can throw with timing and anticipation and accuracy, you can be a really good quarterback. All right, so this is kind of a dig pivot. There were some things they did in this game that just got ate up. There just wasn't much there. So what I think they've got going on, and this is kind of I think we're in the substitute teacher zone here. So we're getting a little bit of different things, but what I think they got going on is something like this. and there just really isn't anywhere to go with the football, which I think especially you'll see, so with a little bit more success. One thing he did a really good job of last year is, um, he tried as much as he could to take a profit, right? There's not, the old adage in coaching quarterbacks, you'll never go broke taking a profit. Um, just hey, if you can get a couple yards here, a couple yards there, that's great. That's better than losing yards or getting no yards. So I always thought he did a pretty good job of understanding when it wasn't there and trying to get out and get something. Didn't sit in the pocket as much if he could, um, and try to get out. So right here, everything's kind of dead. There's nowhere to really go with the ball. Maybe you could say throw it with anticipation into this window, but there's a guy here in front. It's not clean. He also didn't put the ball in harm's way very often. Now, there's a couple in this game where the route concept called kind of there's nowhere else to go with the ball. So, but he didn't put the ball in harm's way very often. So here they're going to go. So that play right there, the previous one, got them into a 4th and short situation. They decided to go for it. They're going to go with kind of a curl swing concept, which is something that you'll see Buster Faulkner run kind of variations of this, where you're going to have the tight end essentially as a lead blocker for the back swinging out. And it looks like they were kind of, I'm not sure. This is run, the inside route is run more like dagger, where you have a dig coming behind it. But they really had this guy kind of curling up, but he didn't come straight back down his stem. He's kind of curling up inside. And then backside, you have kind of a curl or a hitch. And it's 4th down. So I think all you're looking at here is here's my kind of apex player. If he stays out wide here with the motion, I probably need to work this side, right? If they don't bump, I probably need to work this side because he's going to be able to get underneath any type of curl out here. Now, if he tucks back in the box with a motion, right? Well, now I got a one-on-one out here. So he did a pretty good job identifying kind of where to go. And I thought at times with all the stuff that was terrible with the offense last year in terms of like play calling and sequencing, um, and some of their stuff, they did a pretty good job of like directing the quarterback where they wanted him to start. And kind of here's your indicator. And if they give you this, you can go here. And this is one where he's just working the backside. Now, this is a pretty good play by the receiver because you do kind of leave the ball inside a little bit. But also, I think the receivers probably should attack inside leverage here as much as you can on this kind of curl route. You don't want to give up inside leverage to the corner. So the ball ends up a little inside here, but also I think the receiver, and that's that's kind of a something across these two games. I'm not in the meeting room, so I don't know the landmarks and I don't know exactly how it was taught. But there's a few where I thought Tramell makes a really good throw if the receiver is kind of where I think the landmark should be on the concept, but that may not be what they were teaching. So maybe I'm wrong. It's possible, right? I'm not in the meeting room, so I don't know exactly what they're telling them. But right here, backer bumps in the box, 4th down, catches, throws. And again, if your receiver's inside position where I think he probably should be, that ball's in the outside where you want it. He's outside, so the ball's a little bit inside. But receiver does a really good job coming back. I think it's Sturdivant does a really good job coming back to the football, making a catch, picking up the 1st down for you, right? So this is one I think he gets fooled a little bit, right? So the initial presentation here is a too high safety look. This safety is going to roll down, and he's going to be kind of eyeing anything coming across. So you're going to get, I think it's Verno Brown trying to come across here, and I believe that's what he's looking for, Tramell. They got a post here. And then my question, I guess, is this called? If this is called, then he probably should have thrown this. You're going to see ball kind of come out here, and then he's going to kind of take off on a wheel, almost like and if that's the call, it's probably where you want to go with the football here. Now, Kentucky does a pretty good job of getting to the quarterback here. You kind of lose this. you lose this matchup late here, and he's able to get over the top. But I believe what I think Tramell thought here, and this is just a guess, right? I'm not in the meeting room. I think he may have thought, all right, there's the too high safety presentation. Um, so I'm gonna look at the post. The corner bails on the post. That's probably dead because there's going to be a safety in the middle, or he doesn't want to throw this here. And so they got the hitch here, and then this is going to be coming behind there. But you see the safety has come down to kind of sit in this hole right here, right? So the question to me would be if, and you see him just turning to play this, right? If this is a called wheel, that's probably where I should go next, right? So if, if I cancel the post, I should probably come down to the wheel and just let it rip here. But again, it's possible he might. You can see his eyes are looking this way, but the protection hasn't held up long enough, and he has to throw this away. And I think he may even get a penalty on this. And you can see ball right here. He knows he's kind of won. You watch him at the end here. You'll see him kind of jump up and down a little bit like, man, that was my shot, right? And you can see it from the back here. Let's watch his eyes. So safety's starting to rotate. He peeks the post, which I think you can make a case that he should have just ripped this post right here. I think there's a case to be made, but he comes off of it. I'm not sure why he comes off of it, but he comes off of it and looks for the crosser, and you see this guy's just kind of waiting on the crosser. No, the post, there's a guy right in his hip pocket, so maybe that wouldn't have helped. And then I think he's getting to the wheel here, has this guy in his face, kind of decides I'm not going to take a sack. I'm going to throw it away, and I think you end up getting a penalty there. So trying to do the right thing, kind of put in a bad situation by your line. But that one, I think he got fooled a little bit. But it's a true freshman against a pretty good defensive coordinator. You're going to get fooled. So it is interesting to kind of watch Kentucky's back in and see how much they're rocking and rolling a little bit and moving. But this is a concept he really liked. This is basically Hank. So Hank, however you get to it, you're getting a curl. It's curl flat. And a lot of times you'll see number 2 go to the flat. But basically you're going to get a guy in the flat here, a guy in the flat here, a guy in the curl here, and then a guy over the ball. So you're going to have an over the ball route. How Florida tries to gets to it this time. He's going to be there. You're going to get a fake across, and he's going to get to the flat here. This is something he's did really well against LIU, and I'm pretty sure this is how they taught them to read it out. Some guys do it differently. I taught it differently, but even in the NFL, guys teach it. There's like 2 ways some people teach it. Some people teach you to start with the over the ball route, and I think that's how Florida taught it last year. So he's looking for that over the ball initially. Because theoretically, if they cover up the over the ball, it should open up one of the 2 curl flat windows outside, right? And then if they kind of widen out underneath those curl flat windows outside, over the ball typically pops open. And I think there's some thought to if you get blitz, that over the ball might pop open right away. So if you start your eyes there, you can kind of beat the blitz with it as well. So I think that's what he does, and then he does a really good job escaping pressure and then finding an outlet there. Finds ball. Ball's able to pick up nearly enough for a first down there. And we see it from the backside here. Again, there's a lot going on up front. So, the fact that he looked pretty composed against this defense that was moving and shaking and doing all kinds of stuff, I think bodes well for him. Good job on the run with the touch over the top of the defender to ball. So here, I think he's got the right idea. I think his receiver lets him down a little bit. So they're running a post with the deep crosser, kind of going to block and then maybe get to the flat, right? So nothing crazy, but, in this look here, if the safeties stay low, if he jumps the crosser or he bites down the crosser, you've got a shot to the post if you win one-on-one. Now, I think the receiver tries to do a little too much here, and you kind of see he kind of is trying to make moves. It's just to get on this guy's toes and run by him. So, and the pass protection does not hold up long enough, and you don't have enough outlets to get the ball out of your hand. So this ends up being a sack. But I think he was kind of thinking the right thing here. So he makes a play action fake. This safety's kind of stepping down, and then we'll watch. He stays pretty low with the crosser, right? Which right here, I think you'd like to throw the post, but if you watch this outside receiver, is he running on a straight line and getting on this guy's toes? He's in, he's out, he's in. And by the time he kind of gets on this guy's toes where I probably should be throwing the post, I've got somebody in my face right now, right? Because the defense has moved and brought some guys. So, I mean, on the other side, as a Florida fan watching the defense, this is pretty interesting, right? You get a slant, a blitz, a loop, a blitz, and just kind of obliterate a 7-man protection here without bringing 7, right? So that's pretty good. Now, maybe you could say rip that, but that is so hard to see, I think. This is what he was looking for, and I think that was correct. The receiver just couldn't get there fast enough. So this ends up being a sack. There's really nowhere for him to go. We can see it from the back view here, the end zone copy. They're right there. He's got eyes on that safety. Bang, he's looking for the post. It ain't there. By the time he hasn't even broken yet. By the time it starts to break, well, now I've lost the block, and I ain't got nowhere to go with the football, right? I just got to eat it. So I think he was in the right place. His eyes were in the right place. They just couldn't get to it. Now, this is one I don't mind the call. I don't like it into the boundary. I don't know why. This is such a tight window into the boundary to try to fit this football. So they're going to inside stem, run a corner out. He's going to run a flat. So they're just running smash, and you've got a crosser. Last time when they did this earlier in the game, they ran that out to Abrams, and he threw it beautifully. So now too high presentation, probably thinking smash, but there's just not a lot of room for this. Now, maybe you say, all right, this corner, if you kind of look at his demeanor, but it's hard to tell, right? I always kind of tell guys look at upper body lean, right? Upper body's leaning forward. He could drive on this football, but there's not a lot of room for this. I don't know why you call this into the boundary. There's no room. It's got to be such a great throw, and your receiver's got to run such a great route. And it's more often than not going to lead to a good corner that's long baiting you into trying to throw this, which he almost picks this. And this is one of the few balls Tramell puts in harm's way. But I would blame more, why are you running that into the boundary? And it's such a tight window. If you want to run that, which I think it's fine, conceptually, put it to the field. Give yourself a little bit more room there. So they don't give him a ton of room on that. And this is one of the few, like I said, that you can kind of see him. But that thing's just dead conceptually, I think, just with the spacing of it. And maybe I think you could say he got a little greedy and just take the flat, but just got sacked. It's 2nd and 20. He's a young guy. He wants to try to make a play. So then it's 3rd and 20. There's not much you can do here. They try to go with kind of a mesh dagger look. I think he saw the blitz. Just get the ball to your hands fast. Give your guy a chance to make a play, right? He got out of his hands. He got tackled immediately. So there's not much to that one. I think he will get the ball. That is one thing I like about him. Watching in the couple games, he'll get the ball out of his hands fast. He tries to go through his reads. It seems like he can get it out quick. Not afraid to check it down, which is, I think, good for a young quarterback. Here's Hank again. just kind of basically a different way to get to it, but the same concept we saw earlier. Curl over the ball, curl, flat, flat, right? So just curl flat. And again, I think they start over the ball, takes his steps and throws. That's probably my favorite thing watching him, and we can watch the back view of it as well. Is he takes his steps and tries to deliver the football. There's not a lot of hanging around, waiting around. If everything times up well, right? So catch, hit your back foot, throw the football, first down. Then they come back here. They're going to get in a condensed set and just run smash to both sides. Corner, speed out, corner, speed out. Again, I would like to see the guy widens a little bit. But if this guy's head up, I think you kind of want to try to capture him a little bit with and so he gets stuck inside if you can, but he kind of widens out a little bit too much. But good timing again here. You have the space outside, rip the speed out, catchable ball, not perfect, but catchable ball. And again, it kind of gets let down by one of his receivers. So here's one where it's the throw's on him, right? Right decision. They're going to kind of go with a rub. This is basically kind of they're rolling out. They're trying to make a rub kind of here. But he's going to run to the corner. He's almost going to run it like an out just because where the safety's at. He's going to trail him, run the out, and you're really just high-lowing. To me, it's just smash, right? So instead of running the high-angle corner, safety's over the top, he's going to roll it. And then I'm going to roll out here. Now, the key to me when teaching these is you want to make sure you're getting depth when you're rolling out. And then you'd like to, if you can, be able to attack downhill a little bit. It is so hard to throw, in my opinion, to throw an accurate pass fading to the sideline. And that's kind of what happens here. But is that his fault? I don't think so, right? The back's got to come up and set a firm edge with the tackle here. It doesn't happen. So I really don't have a chance to step up in the pocket. And I've got to throw this thing fading to the sideline. And of course, it's always just going to fade away from me, right? And you can really see it from the back view. Now, can he make this throw? I'm sure he can. But if I'm a little bit more firm here and my back sticks this up and I'm able to kind of attack downhill a little bit, I would guarantee the accuracy would improve. This is so hard to do. Running full speed, trying to throw this thing, it's always going to sail and kind of fade on you. You really want to get, as I'm here, start getting downhill, but I did not have a chance to do that because I did not kind of have that firm edge. So I think the back probably could have helped because this guy is way outside. So the back probably could have helped a little bit more here on this edge. Really make sure that thing was cleaned up and give him a little bit more room to attack downhill. Again, the right read, which is somewhat, to me, more important at times, especially the young guy. Does he know where to go with the football? I think he does. So right here, I thought this was a really good example. So it's a third and short. Really good example of, kind of his don't go broke taking a profit. So this is an interesting concept, actually. Florida's going to go kind of with under center. They've showed this fake on fourth and short, or they showed the run on fourth and short earlier in the game. They're going to go post wheel and then in the flat. So it's third and 2. You only need 2 yards. I do think there is some temptation here for a lot of quarterbacks as they come out of here to throw the wheel. And maybe you could argue he should have thrown the wheel. But you see he's starting to peel off. And maybe say, hey, throw the wheel, whatever. But he knows he needs 2 yards. This shows some kind of situational awareness. He just drops it down to the tight end who he knows is open for the 2 yard in the first down. So now maybe you'd rather him throw the wheel here. It's open, let it rip right now. You got a chance for a big play, but in terms of never go broke taking a profit, picking up the first down is the goal on third down, right? The goal on third down is not to score a touchdown, even though the goal on every play is to score a touchdown. The goal on third down is to convert, right? So that's if you look at success rate, a successful play on third down is a conversion. So it's a good play. Right here, they go with kind of that double crosser concept. This is one where I think this is a pretty good ball right here. So when you're teaching vertical routes and like go routes, when you get by somebody, you'll hear coaches tell them to try to stack them. What you want to do is you want to, first of all, even if you're hip to hip, you want to kind of lean, right? Even if you're hip to hip, you want to kind of lean on that guy and save as much outside space down here for the quarterback to throw the football, right? You want to kind of own that space with your leverage. So you kind of pin the defender inside the numbers and kind of give yourself room outside, right? It's not necessarily the numbers. But bottom of the numbers is kind of where I'd like to be, I think. But if I get by somebody, you'll hear coaches say stack him. So if I'm by him and it looks like he's by him right here, instead of kind of running away from him, get back on top of him. And so now he has to run through you. And now the quarterback not only has room here, but he's got all this room vertically as well. That's all the space you own with leverage, right? So it makes it much easier to throw if I get stacked, right? He doesn't really get stacked here. He just keeps fading away from the guy. If he would have tried to get stacked or stayed on his kind of bottom of the numbers point, this ball is probably catchable. So this wasn't a perfect throw, but I do put this on the receiver a little bit here. Because you'll see kind of as you get to it, Florida's going double cross. He does a good job getting out to it. It's not his first read, I don't think. So bottom of the numbers would be here, kind of. Maybe not the straightest line there, but I mean, if I'm on the bottom of the numbers, or at least stacked, this ball's coming right in my chest just about. So I wouldn't necessarily put that one on him. I think that's not a bad spot right there. Is it a perfect throw? No. But if my landmark is bottom of the numbers or I get stacked on this guy, I think I've got a chance. I'm going to go back to the curl swing. He threw on the fourth down. He threw up here. Kind of like a dagger look where this guy's coming across almost. The back is swinging here. And then curl, but he's coming out of the curl a little bit. And that's kind of where the issue is here. Looks up top, comes back, throws the curl. Throws it back a little bit. Again, this is one I think your receiver just got to catch this and maybe offhand reach it. Don't let it get to your body. But not a perfect throw here. A little bit back. But that's kind of my question. Is this supposed to be like a straight back down my stem curl route? Or am I breaking out of this thing and coming down? Really bursting out of it back inside? Because this ball's thrown outside and then you see the defender is able to make a play on it and draw it loose on what would have been, I think, a third down conversion. But good job with eyes and feet, moving in the pocket. That's a catchable football. Got to tuck that in for your guy. And then last play of the game. So as situationally aware as he was on the third down, not taking the shot, I think he forgets it's fourth down here. Now, they did run the ball on first down, so maybe in his brain, he's like, we wouldn't run the ball here when we're down this many points and trying to preserve clock. So maybe in his mind that didn't count but they did run the ball. So it's fourth down. They've got it looks like some kind of option route type look here for the conversion. And he forgets it's fourth down. So it looks like up top, maybe he's got the option to break out or break in. And then here you've got kind of a dig and the back's going to check release. So he's just thinking, all right, nothing's open. I'm going to check it down on my back, which in most cases you'd be like, great. check it down to your back. Don't take a sack. That's fine. Unfortunately, it's fourth down. So checking it down doesn't really help you. But what you like to see is he realizes it right away. So watch him here. Oh no, it's fourth down. Can't check it down on fourth down. But that's a good lesson to learn in a game where really, in the grand scheme of things, it's ended up being somewhat a meaningless game, right? Uh, so good lesson to learn. You want to win all games, obviously, but uh, if you're getting your head kicked in and it's the last drive of the game, the thing you want to do with every loss is at least learn something from it. So there's lots to learn from last year. Now let's get to some of the stuff from Long Island. So this is the nice stuff. This is the stuff that I think there was some good stuff in Kentucky, I thought, but this is the stuff that I think a lot of people are got them excited initially, right? So number one, I probably should have said this at the top. The fact that the last staff, I think it's an interesting and it's good for him. It speaks a lot to Tramell that the last staff chose to make him the backup quarterback when they kind of knew that if the season went sideways, they're getting fired. You had to, regardless with all the kind of good feelings from the end of the previous year, I think they had a pretty good idea. If it went sideways again, they're going to get fired. So, who do they make their backup quarterback for a guy that was hurt all off season? Tramell Jones, not one of the older guys that had been there for a while. So, I do think that speaks well to Tramell. But let's get to the Long Island. So they're going to come in with they're going to motion the receiver cross and one run wide cross. This is one I thought he probably could have taken a shot on here. So he's going to motion. He's going to run the dig. I believe they post him here. Play it hard, play action. This is one on the plus side, you'd say didn't put the ball in harm's way. On the negative side, I'd say right here, cancel the post. I'm looking now to throw it into this window for this receiver, right? This guy's running with the post. Safety's there. Throw it into here. Let that receiver run to it. Now, he's gotten out of the pocket. I think he sees this guy's back turn. He just decides, I'm going to run, which, again, he's going to pick up the first down. So not a bad play, you know. Now, when you see it from the back, I think he probably could have just let this thing rip and made the throw. So good hard fake. The linebacker steps up, or the apex player steps up. He gets out of the pressure right here. Just rip that throw. This guy can't see it. So some people teach if you see a defender's back, he can't see the football. So the guy's still open, even if it looks kind of covered. In the NFL, you'll see guys throw to defenders' backs a lot, right? Because they can't see the ball. So I think this one he could have ripped. He probably says, oh, that guy's got his back turned. I'm just going to take off and get what I can. So on the positive note, picks up a first down, doesn't put the ball in harm's way. On the negative side, I think that's probably one you could rip and throw. So here's Hank again. So curl flat. So curl. He's going to start his eyes over the ball again. All right. So watch. You'll see his eyes start over the ball. That one's covered up. Bang works outside. Eyes on him. As he widens, rip the curl route in there. Good throw and good run after catch. Just when the nice thing about him was just it seemed like he came in and played with really good timing. Everything was in sequence. So bang, eyes there, nope, hitch, throw the curl. Good ball, good timing. On time and on target, right? So down here, they've got a screen set up to the bottom and then double hitch up top. So he likes the hitches, so he's going to catch and throw. Rips the outside one. Picking up yards. Not the greatest throw, but catchable football. Picking up yards. This is just, we just want to kind of get 5 or 6 here. If we got the numbers, throw the screen. If we don't, throw it up top to the hitch. Here goes screen and go. Maybe let this thing get out a little bit wider on the motion, but you're going to get kind of post, wheel after they kind of fake the screen here. And then he's going to fake that and become a blocker. So it's not there. Good job checking it down, right? He doesn't, what I like is he doesn't hold on things. He cancels it. Some guys will kind of be, oh, this is my shot to take a shot down the field. Maybe this wheel will clear out. Maybe I can kind of clear this wheel out and get it out of there. He's kind of like, post is dead. Wheel doesn't have leverage. I'm dropping it down. And so what that does is it just gives your guys a chance to make plays in space, right? So what could be you hold it too long, you get sacked, which it looks like it's a distinct possibility if he's trying to hold for that wheel. He drops it down, gets a positive play. So he doesn't wait around for stuff, which I like. Hank again, so that curl flat again. Eyes to the middle. So starts in the middle, doesn't like it. Works here. This guy's dropping more straight back. So he just gets the ball out of his hands to the back in the flat. Doesn't wait for the curl. Doesn't wait around. Just drops it down. Give your guy a chance to make a play. So again, it's just he plays on time, I think, a lot when you kind of give him some concepts that he knows, he plays on time pretty well. Now I'm not sure what forces them here versus there. Could be away from the safety rotation, perhaps. They want to work weak, away from the safety, down safety. But good job throwing on time and on rhythm. Here's an RPO throw. Good decision here. The throw's a little bit off. But you'll see his last throw of the game is an RPO on the same look, and it's a perfect throw. So a little bit off on the throw here. Still maybe somewhat catchable, but it isn't RPO. These kind of things can be in heavy traffic, so you got to be careful. But the read, you see his eyes here. Pulls it, rips it, just kind of slides on him a little bit. But good decision. I think he makes pretty good decisions in the RPO game. All right, so this one kind of gets, I think they want to go kind of Y cross with a shallow. So he's going to be the shallow guy. I think he's supposed to kind of be a deep crosser, and this guy's kind of a deep dig, would be my guess. But he gets kind of pushed off his route and ends up here. The back's going to motion out. Does a good job of looking here to the post. Kind of looks to see, I think, if he can get the post. The safety goes with it. He knows he's going to be able to come back to the crosser. Rips that thing up the seam there, which I think that's why you had two guys running the same place. I think he just got bumped off his route there. But you'll see his eyes. He does a pretty good job keeping eyes and feet connected. Look up top. Hitch. Come back. Nice catchable football. Again, two guys in the same place. I think somebody busted their route. I would guess the crosser got pushed off. I thought this was a really good one. A really good rep. So they're going to go kind of LIU had been a ton of one high in this game. So they're going to go, I believe they're going to go Hoss, juke. So hitch, seam, and then kind of a juke route. You can kind of sit or break in. So what I think his thought is here is, all right, it's one high. I'm going to try to look the safety to this seam, turn and rip this seam back here. Again, I don't know their landmarks, but typically it's like a yard or 2 yards outside the hash, a yard outside the hash on these inside seams. So you'll see his process here. He wants to look the safety to this seam, which the safety starts to kind of open up this way. Then he'd like to turn back and rip this one. But you've gotten this guy falling off. You've also got this receiver probably too wide, I would think. And so what does he do? He doesn't panic. He starts to step up, and he remembers, oh, I've got the juke route coming over the middle, and that's where he drops it to. So this is really high-level stuff. Kind of getting to a third read here. You can watch his eyes, seam, nope, hitch, seam, nope, look to escape. I've got the juke route. Let me put it on that. Really good job. Again, on time and on target. So this is a nice one here. You're going to get motion across, and they're going to end up running kind of slant corner up here. So good man beater. Now, as he motions across, does the corner that's covering him go with him? Right? If he does, pretty good man indicator. If he doesn't, could be zone, could be teams running all kind of funky stuff in the red zone, but probably not straight man, right? Nobody went across with him. So Florida's going to run down here, kind of a snag corner flat, basically, which is just, I think air raid people call it Y corner. I'm sure you'll see Buster run it. It's super common. It's air raid concept, but some people call it snag, some people call it Y corner. But really, down here, I'm high-lowing with the corner in the flat. I'm inside outing. I'm horizontally stretching with the snag in the flat, right? So I should have an answer down here. So let's see how it plays out. And then in this really condensed space, you got to be very accurate in the red zone, right? There's the windows are smaller. So right here, here's your snag. He starts to bite on the snag. Here's the flat. He's widening with a flat. So as he bites on that, I'm over the top here. And then a really well thrown ball. Good placement and good timing there. So that's really, really good stuff right there. And you can see it from the backside here. Looking here, he drives on that. No hesitation, immediately throw it over. And with great placement, right? You've got a big, tall tight end. Put it up high. If this ball is here, this guy's got a chance to get his hand in there and make a play, right? Really, really good job. Good catch by the tight end there as well. So, all right, here you go. Kind of a four verts look. This is one where I wonder if they were kind of. This is almost I would think. I do like that he doesn't like it. He checks it down, but my guess would be they thought they would get as he motions out, the corner would bump because I think they've played just a ton of cover 3 in this game. The corner would bump. I'd be able to get to the seam really easily here. And then the safety would stay more attached here, right? I think that was the idea because it's just verts. I think they thought, I'll get this guy a free release. So they start the quarterback's eyes here to come back to here, right? Trying to hold the safety here so I can hit this seam back here because I think they thought with the motion, it's going to get this guy a pretty good release on. So I start my eyes there, come back to here, but LIU didn't really take the bait, as you see down here. They didn't exchange it. The corner just stayed and ran with the receiver. He just ran with the tight end down here. So they didn't bump out, which I think what they thought was going to happen is the corner would bump and you'd get your receiver matched up on a linebacker up the seam. That didn't happen. So he goes bang, tries to move the safety, comes back, and this is all muddled. Well, instead of forcing it, he does a good job dropping it off. Now you kind of wish you could have started your eyes here and came back because the seam up top does break open, right? If I could have started my eyes here and came back, I would have had a chance there. But I think they told him to start here, come back here. And then he does a good job dropping it down. Back doesn't catch it, but good again. Doesn't take sacks typically. Gets the ball out of his hands pretty fast. Processes quick. Eyes, seam, check down. So they're trying to take a shot here on, I think, like a wave concept. So you're trying to, it's almost like double post, but real deep crosser. He's going to motion out, run a post, and he's running a deep crosser back that way. it just takes too long, you know, especially playing with, I think, some backup guys that haven't run it a ton. You probably would eventually get that open, but it just takes too long. Tramell kind of feels the pocket a little bit. Uh, I'd say I wouldn't say collapsing, but you're starting to get some rush. Your back kind of left probably should have stayed in, and so he does a good job of just, hey, I don't like anything. I'm going to get out and get what I can. Maybe a better way to get down there, so you don't have to take that hit. But uh, really good job just taking what you can, picking up 9 on a play that's somewhat dead. So then 2nd and 1, you come back kind of we're going to take a shot again. And it's kind of almost like a flood concept where he's going to fake, like he's running across her and he's the middle guy. He's going to run like he's running to the corner and back across. I don't know if that works as well with a single high safety, just because, all right, I'm the middle of the field safety, you break to the corner, well, I should have a deep third player over there, so I'm not going to run with you. So the double move, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't really move me, because right here I've got a guy playing for that. So we're not talking about last year's concepts. So again, nothing's there, gets what he can, gets out, first down. That's what I want to see, right? Don't compound. And listen, even this year, you're going to see Buster's not going to have the perfect play called every time. What a quarterback can do to help the coordinator is don't compound mistakes, right? If I thought I was going to get a certain look and they gave me a different look, okay, that happens, right? If you knew what the other team was going to call every play, you'd score every time, right? That's football. But don't compound my mistake by making a mistake, which he doesn't. Gets him to a first down. Uh, Gets to move the ball down the field. Motion the back out. They're going to go 4 verts here, with kind of a hitch seam there. And this is another one. What's your landmark? Is your landmark, I know college and high school hash is a little different. We're always teaching like a yard outside the hash. And I think most colleges are probably teaching a yard, 2 yards outside the hash for these seams on 4 verts. So what's your landmark? I don't know what they were teaching, but hitch, fade, he's up that seam, he's down this seam. I think if you're a yard outside the hash here, this is a really good football. It's still a catchable ball. And you see the eyes here. Eyes hold the safety here, come back to throw this seam. These are kind of you kind of look at the box score and you miss some of these. Like it's just out of reach right here. But if I'm a yard outside the hash, is it right on my body? Yeah, probably. If I'm, it's hard to tell exactly what a yard, 2 yards is there. But feels like he's bringing him closer to the hash. And it's still probably a catchable football here in the end here. We'll see from the back view. But I do like seeing his eyes. Watch Tramell's eye. Bang, look the safety there. The safety goes. I know I'm coming to my seam here. And that's not, that's still probably somewhat catchable of a ball. But he's trying to bring me back towards the seam, which I would guess a yard outside the hash is about here. It's hard to tell exactly without being able to step it off, but not a bad throw. All right, so they come back to, this is going to be all curls. I don't know if somebody busts here and it's supposed to be Hank and somebody's supposed to be a flat thread or not, but they're just everybody's running a curl route. Toronto does a good job of avoiding the pressure here, and you'll see from the back, really good job in terms of your footwork, avoiding that initial rusher. He looks like he's been well schooled in the pocket and things like that. These are the things I like to see. Guys that can navigate the pocket a little bit and throw with some timing. That's kind of always what I've enjoyed in quarterback play. So here, move. So just that move is lovely, right? Step out and then get up in the pocket, because if that guy's getting pushed around, he's probably vacating the middle, right? Doesn't see anything he likes, takes off. Great job. Doesn't get a ton, but instead of a sack, you're picking up some yards, right? So then Florida's going to go right on the goal line, you saw kind of a snag or a, let me start that over. You saw kind of a snag, a corner in the flat, right? We saw that on the goal line, and then they're going to go double slants down here after the motion. Well, they're going to change it up a little bit. We'll stop it at the break point. So right here, he's going to run kind of the snag or the hitch, and instead of breaking the corner, he's going to curl, or he's going to kind of break in for a dig route. You got double slant down here. You can really kind of high-low this guy. If he plays this hitch, should open up a window behind him. Good job here by Tramell finding that window. Look at it from the backside here. See his eyes. He sees that get taken. Immediately looks for the dig. Is able to kind of throw it with a little bit of pressure at his feet there. A good ball, picking up a first down. Then here, you're going to motion across and run spacing. So what you're kind of looking for, and then backside, you just have a hitch, right? If the corner's off and this apex player will tuck in, take the hitch all day. It's just a gift out there, right? So the apex player tucks in, corner's off, catch and throw. There you go. Rip it. Give your guy a chance to make a play. So really good job there. And that's all just kind of pre-snap. I think this is supposed to be kind of sluggo seam and ends up being just a go route down here. But he's running up the seam there. I don't know. It seems like typically in the past when they've run this, it's been some type of double move down here. When they've run kind of the hitch seam up top, it's been some type of double move. So I'd imagine like sluggo seam. But he just runs a straight go route. So there's no double move. And you'll see again right here, doing a pretty decent job, but don't let the ball fade you, right? Kind of fight pressure. Don't give up ground to give up ground. Let the ball fade you, but then you'll see the ball hits right there. Really good throw. Receiver, like I said, lets him down a little bit. And you'll see it better from this back angle. Lets it rip. Not perfect film, but you couldn't go down and place it any better, really. Maybe the receiver could try to kind of bang in here a little bit, but really well thrown ball. Wasn't able to come up with it, but really well thrown ball. So here you're going to get they're going to go back to the Hank look, but it's going to be over the ball, and they're going to change it up a little bit. So this guy will be the curl runner. This guy will be the hitch. So he'll be the flat. He'll be the curl. Here they're going to go, I think, just like shock up top. So hitch seam up top. So he could kind of, if it's zone, you can work this side. If it's man, you could work that side. Probably starting over the ball regardless. So he does a good job. His eyes are on the over the ball route. Pops open, gets it on him, first down. Again, I've said it probably 15 times in this. That's my favorite thing about watching Tramell is just hits his back foot and throws the football. I hate watching guys hit their back foot and kind of pop around and try to figure things out. I love to see back foot, the ball's out. If it's not, I'm hitching up, ball's out, hitching up, ball's out. I'm going, right? So drive, they got a little drive concept down here. Again, if this guy's tucked, he's going to run a speed out. If this guy's tucked in, I can rip that. If he gets underneath that, I'm going to have a shallow coming and then a dig back behind that, and they're going to go post behind that. So, but if I can get that speed out first, let's take that. And so his eyes go out there. Good timing. Let's see when this ball comes out of his hand here. He's getting ready to throw it right now. Receiver hasn't turned his head yet. So really good timing. Again, I don't know if his arm is elite, but these aren't easy throws to make right there. So gets a bobble. You You can see it from this view here. Good ball. Then if your kids are watching, they're really going to enjoy this. There you go. And then here's his last throw of the game. We showed that RPO earlier. A little bit behind. This one is perfect. Backer fills, safety fills, rip it in stride for a touchdown. So really good job there. See it here. Eyes in the right spot. Flip your hips, rip it. And like I said on the previous one, you couldn't walk down and hand it off any better. So really, really good stuff. I think there's a lot of encouraging things on the film there. But it's so hard to tell with guys that haven't played a ton, right? That's why everyone in the transfer portal is looking for guys that have played a lot, somewhat proven commodities in terms of what they can do. We saw this just last year, a guy that has flashes as a freshman. It doesn't always translate. You don't always immediately get better the next year, right? But I think the encouraging things are he did a lot of Tramell does a lot of things. It seems like he understands what's going on. He throws with timing, which I like. And I think the right coach can bring the best out of him. And he was a highly rated recruit, so he's got some physical tools as well. So, I'm interested to see if he ends up being the guy that can come out and win the quarterback battle. If not, I think you got to feel pretty good because I think you do have two talented guys competing for it. So you feel like whoever wins it better than the other guy's not bad. So famous last words, but hopefully I didn't jinx Tramell like I did our good friend Emory Jones a few years ago when I did make a video asking if he's going to be the next great Florida quarterback. It's so hard to tell, man. Like guys can show the physical tools on film, and sometimes it just doesn't translate. I think Tramell's got. It seems like he's got the mental side of the game pretty well, especially on the stuff that he felt comfortable with. You see him get the ball out on time, on target a lot. So that is encouraging to see. And we'll see how it goes in the spring game. That should be a fun one to watch, and we'll see how the quarterback competition goes. Either way, I think you feel pretty good with what Florida has at offensive coordinator. So if you want to learn more about the offense, check out my video on that. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next time, hopefully after the spring game, if that's broadcast with a little film. But thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment. Tell me who your favorite Florida quarterback of all time is. Help me game the YouTube algorithm here a little bit. Thanks for watching. See you next time.